you want to engage with us, or do you want to just talk by yourself?
You want to be
do you want to engage with us, or do you want to engage with no one?
So
you came here. You came here. You didn't engage. You didn't make this discussion. You didn't make this discussion any better. You came here and you waffled.
What does it say about Eve? What does it say about Eve in Quran?
Have you finished? Have you finished? Have you finished? Have you finished? Have you finished?
Go ahead.
What have you proved? We're having a good discussion. You came in, well, Christ is in me and this and this that. Where's your intelligence? How old are you? How old are you? Sharing knowledge. Sharing knowledge. What's it? How old are you? How old are you? Do you think this is sane to act like this? Do you think it's sane to act like this? Do you think yes? Yeah, you think yes? Okay. Yeah, I know.
No anger.
No, this is not normal.
Insecure. That's why you don't want to talk. You're insecure.
I'm insecure because you're shouting. You're the one getting angry. You're the one getting angry.
What does it say in the Quran about Eve? Nothing. Nothing.
Allow your sister.
Do you know why it doesn't say nothing?
There's no point in speaking to you.
Your God, they misled you. He took your wives.
The crazy part of the corner's down there. The crazy part of the corner's down there.
Real man, you'll fight for your wife. For knowing her.
Go to your wife. Why are you here on Sunday? Go to your wife.
That's why I give you 4 wives, so they can be screwed by the men.
Elvis, listen.
And you will shout me down like you shouted this gentleman down.
Any man knows, one man, one woman. Fight in your heart with your real wife. Otherwise, you turn your women into whores.
This is nonsense.
Into prostitutes of some other men. You go to Pearl Tank.
Up to now, we don't know what he said. Up to now, we don't know what he said. He's come here, he shouted, and nobody knows what he's saying. Anyway, you say there's restrictions. You said there's restrictions.
Solomon.
Yeah. You said Jesus said marry only one. Yeah, you said Jesus says it. Yeah. You said Jesus says it. You said Jesus says marry only one. We said Paul says only marry. He says first don't marry. But if you have to marry only one. But we asked you, where does Jesus say?
Men and women he created.
Yes. You know, he said men should not marry. But if they have to, I've already read the verse in Corinthians.
She said the same thing.
So where's the restriction? Where's the restriction? Where's the restriction that God gave, Jesus gave? Where?
No. Jesus, yeah.
Because we mentioned Abraham had it. We mentioned Solomon had it. We mentioned that David also had multiple wives.
No, because I'm looking for Jesus. Yeah.
We want to know where it says.
يا والله هو مجنون والله خلني هو شوف وجهك والله مجنون خلني هو
Just shouting.
Just shouting.
Because I'm very interested. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I just told you.
No,
And Christ verify it.
They were from nations about which the Lord had told God had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them, because they will certainly turn your hearts against them. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray because God had told him not to do this.
No, that's your reading. No, it doesn't say that God said not to do this.
Yes, it does.
Huh?
You must
not intermarry with them.
Exactly.
Meaning that the tribes stay separate. It mentions the tribes: Pharaoh's daughters, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sodomites. It does not say you should not marry his wives.
He said that he was not to marry all these people from that he fell in love with, that you're talking about. He had said don't do it, and Solomon did, and it resulted in just as Abram, when he lay with Hagar, ended up with a disaster down the road. 3,000 years later, we have a problem.
I think more important.
Okay.
I think more important than this is, do you believe Jesus is God?
That's changing the conversation.
You're
changing
changing the
So where does Jesus? This is what we are asking. Where does Jesus? Because this is your
yes,
claim.
This is is he our creator?
Huh?
This is what the Bible says, that he is our creator.
I would love to go back to this passage of the passage of Solomon
It
again.
is
Yeah.
1 Kings 11. You can read it through. In your own
because
time. The Lord told him not to marry these people, and he did.
Okay. Now,
He was sinning.
May I read it with you? Because I find this very interesting.
11, 22.
Yeah, from 11. But it says here, if I start at 9, it says, the Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart turned away from the Lord. So that's one reason why the Lord was angry with him, right?
Well, yes, he married all these women.
Yeah, but it
but
wasn't
that's not the
because
reason.
it was not the reason because of it.
Well,
Because it turned his heart
it was
away.
one of the things he did wrong
Yes,
against the
yes,
Lord's will.
yeah. And the reason why,
Because he was a sinful.
but you know, if you read this, it's not actually saying that the Lord is angry that he married. The Lord is angry with him because Solomon's women were misguiding him. Yeah, that's the reason why.
It is
That's the reason why.
saying the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not
Intermarry. And then the reason is given.
that Solomon was married.
And the reason is given straight
Because
after.
they will surely turn your
heart.
after their God.
Thank you.
That's what it was.
Meaning he'll move from monotheism to
Solomon
polytheism.
was sinning, and he also sinned against the whole commandment.
But it wasn't because of the amount of women he married. It was the quality of women he was marrying. That's the problem there.
The verse says it.
You think that God thinks something else?
Huh?
You think differently from God?
No, it's clear. It's clear as day.
So why did all the prophets?
To me, the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not.
So why
intermarry
did
with
God choose these
people.
prophets? Abraham, Solomon, David, who still was marrying more. Why did he choose them for 1 second? Let me just finish this. Why did God send these men who are sinners to guide people? Can the blind lead the blind?
Well, through God, with God, yes. Everybody is a sinner. Now.
No, but can the blind lead the blind?
Serious question.
Can the blind lead the blind?
With God can make it so that they can give guidance.
Yeah.
Oh, but how can he tell?
God can bring good out of evil.
Yes.
Going somewhere, can the blind lead the blind? Can they walk in the middle?
Why would God send men who are sinners? Why would God send sinners to tell sinners to stop sinning? Is the question, I guess.
The only person who didn't was God himself. Jesus.
So anyway, we see in the Bible, Jesus didn't say nothing about multiple marriage. It was Paul who said it, and Paul said you should not marry. If you are to marry, then you should only marry one. And the reason Paul said that is because he believed Jesus was coming down for the final days like a thief in the night. We've seen that the prophets in the Old Testament, including the ones that come in the genealogy of Jesus, which is David and his father Solomon, the other way around, and Abraham, and plenty of others also married more than one. And in terms of equality, at the head of every woman is the man in Christianity. In Corinthians, Paul is saying, at the head of every man is Christ, and the head of Christ is God. There's a hierarchy which is clearly laid out. Just as God is to Jesus and Jesus is to man, man is to woman. Meaning that there is no equality.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe you have something more interesting.
Muhammad has told you that if you can't convert people to Islam by telling the truth, then you must tell lies.
Where's the lies?
Which is in your
Where's the lies?
Sharia.
So I just mentioned at the head of every man is Christ, at the head of Christ. Was that a lie? No, let's break down the lie because there's no point in saying it's a lie, and we don't examine what's a lie.
Of the New Testament, of the Old Testament, the third page of the Bible, it says one man takes one woman, and the two become one flesh.
Because there was only one man and one woman, that's why.
Jesus, he quotes this.
Jesus quotes this.
Jesus.
He's talking about who? Adam and?
One man, one woman become one flesh.
Go, yeah.
That is in his
Go,
time.
fine.
Then Paul again.
That's Genesis you're talking about.
No.
And then he goes on to say.
It's Genesis first, then Jesus, and then Paul. Absolutely.
He's quoting Genesis.
All are in.
No, but you know the story of Genesis.
All would disagree with Muhammad's.
No, we are not. We
morality.
agree that in Genesis there was one man and one woman.
And they became
And
one.
in the time of Jesus, he quotes and says, one man plus one woman become one flesh.
Okay, let me ask you another question which might help you, which might help you. The Jews, did they only marry one? If they didn't and they married multiple, why didn't Jesus say anything to them? No, my question is why didn't Jesus say nothing to the Pharisees, the Sadducees? Listen to the question, sorry. If Jesus was living at that time and he was always talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, telling them they should not do this. You have read it said, I say unto you. If they were doing polygamy and he did not like polygamy, and all of them were doing polygamy according to Jewish tradition, it was seen as a norm. Why did Jesus, we have no words of Jesus rebuking them?
The ruling of God, which is one man, one woman become one flesh. He repeated it.
And what passage is this? Can we read this? Because the interpretation might be a bit wrapped. Because Solomon wasn't chastised because he had women. He was chastised because he was being misled. That's the interpretation of that verse.
Well, it's yours. Mine is quite clear that Solomon was simply sinning because everybody is a sinner.
Yeah, no one is disagreeing with that, man.
Is Dawood?
You disagree.
Dawood.
Muhammad would. I mean, he might even think that he was perfect, but the Quran itself.
How about this? Maybe this might be meaningful for all of us. Why is it throughout history, in every single nation, everywhere on the earth, throughout the times and ages, polygamy has always been practiced? Whether it is parts of Africa, Asia, Abraham. So why is it only now that we have a lady in Speaker's Corner in the year 2023 telling us it's wrong? What happened to all those years prior to it? Why is it that your kings were involved in multiple marriages? But how come no exists? Hey. So give a hand, mate. Looking sharp, mate. Let's go to a marriage, yeah? MashaAllah. How are you, okay? Looking good. I phoned you. Maybe you ain't saved the number I have. Yeah. I phoned you, but I think I even texted you, bro. What's up, stuff for that? I did send you, yeah. We'll catch up. Is this your stall? Yeah, I like this, wallah, man. Yeah, anyway, throughout history, everyone, Europeans, Africans, South America, all of them engaged in polygamy. Now,
but God,
why did it take so long for the young brother asking, how come it took God so long to make this legislation?
It was there at the beginning.
But nobody knew. Jesus didn't know. Paul never knew. None of the disciples knew. None of the prophets knew.
And also, if I may say, it's such a reductionism that you're applying to marriage, as if marriage is just about lust. Marriage is a constitution between two consenting adults. It's for
who may not be consenting.
Pardon?
Or three of whom may not be consenting.
No, but that's not true. That's not true. Any woman that doesn't want to be in a polygamous marriage can ask for a divorce.
Where does it say that?
No.
She either divorces or...
No, but besides the point, yeah, thank you.
Talaq, innit? It's kula. She can initiate.
Talking about Judaism.
You're reducing marriage into lust.
Marriage, it protects both entities.
It's not just about lust.
One man, one woman.
No, but when we told you about polygynous marriage...
I know Muhammad has told you any number of slaves.
No,
in Numbers 31 you find that. It says take the young girls as slaves and do what you wish with them. It says keep them alive.
It says you are not allowed to have more than one.
Okay. Let's. How many concubines did Solomon have? He had 7 wives and 700 wives. And
also
700 wives and how many concubines? What's concubine mean?
And it ended up in
what? Divorce?
Because I don't think you seem to understand the position that female had in societies back then. A lot of women were protected when they were married. If you weren't married, you know what you were? You were a prostitute.
Or dead.
That's usually how society was divided.
This is why you need
Which is horrible.
one man, one woman. So
Jesus didn't say that. You keep saying that. He didn't say
Paul
that.
said
well,
it.
exactly.
Paul said
but
it.
Paul's not Jesus.
And Paul never met Jesus.
And Paul.
No, but we don't.
keep going back to
You know, we reject Paul. If you can say Jesus, then we can have a conversation since we believe in him also. But Paul, I'm sorry.
Well, you believe in a Jesus who would not be crucified because
It is still Jesus.
somebody else be crucified in his place. We believe in a very different Jesus.
Okay, but let's look at what Numbers
Who
says.
died for us.
Okay.
Not let
Jesus.
somebody else die for him.
Let's look at what Numbers says, yeah?
And
Have
this
you?
is why we love him.
He says,
But
We love him
this
too.
is you love somebody who will.
this is what the Old Testament says, yeah?
We love him.
It says, yeah, in Numbers 31, now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man. But for yourself, save every girl who has never slept with a man.
Oh.
Why is it that you're keeping a woman that's never slept with a man a virgin?
Yeah.
Why?
That sounds even.
Why are you killing all the ones that have slept with
This
men?
is the numbers.
And the men and the boys.
That's the numbers.
Was a particular.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
To keep the relationship pure.
Can we hear what she's saying? Why? So why?
Yeah. Well, they were told that they were not to sleep with. If they can make them their wife, one wife.
Never
but
said
then
that.
After that, it said,
concubines.
You are allowed one wife, and after that.
What does it say that?
Yeah, no, hold on. After that,
sorry.
what? After that.
It's the whole principle of Jesus of God.
No,
For the Christian, for the Muslim, I agree. You can have
she's
as
running
many
away.
slave girls as you want, as many people.
No,
as you can.
no. Can you explain to us what Numbers was talking about? Kill all the women and keep the virgins to yourself. Can you explain that? What does that mean?
I just explained to you.
No, I don't want to hear you.
Relationship pure.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I can see it,
Yeah.
they are the young women. It is to preserve life, but they are not allowed to sleep with them.
What about young boys?
Unless they marry them.
What about the young boys?
You can marry one person, but that's it.
And the
Okay.
woman
No
who
more.
slept, you have to kill them. It says that. Kill the ones that
If
have
it's
slept
to
with us.
preserve wives, you kill the men, you kill the women, you kill the young boys, but you save the virgins. That's
Wow.
preservation of wife.
Yeah.
Life, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, we discussed
Yeah.
last week. What is the difference between Joshua's being instructed on one occasion he was given certain people who he was allowed to kill, and the reason it gives is that for 400 years they had been doing many detestable things, but the thing specified is they were burning their children. Burning their children as sacrifice to their God. This is why he wanted to.
But you say God did that with Jesus, that he sacrificed him.
The only way.
You say that God sent his only begotten son to die.
God sacrificed
That's similar to what you're saying.
But hold on.
That's suicide then.
No, the difference is.
Well, if you sacrifice yourself, that's suicide, isn't it?
And the virgins were involved in all of the serious crimes.
Greater love has no man than he laid down his life.
But he didn't lay down his life. He said, let this cup of death.
Okay, you can reject it.
No, but I'm showing you verses. He says in the Garden of Gethsemane, let this cup of death pass me. Be it your will, O Father, not my will. That doesn't sound like someone who's laying down his life for me and you.
He says, is there another way? Because it's such an awful thing to have to go through.
That's the only way he did it.
But there is no other way.
No, his will is that he did not want to die. Meaning he didn't come to die for your sin willingly.
But he said he had not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life for you and for me. Okay,
You're missing.
He was kind of forced into
you
it.
can mock him. Lots of people do mock him.
No, we don't mock our prophets.
So Muslims mock him.
No, the Muslims
but
don't mock
Christians
Jesus.
find it the most sublime
We don't
thing
mock
that
him, that's-
God can do for us.
So in this instance, yeah.
Because he has taken the
So let's just
punishment,
use.
what we have done. He has got that moral right.
So,
He
my
has
dear, let's
got
take
a
this
moral
example.
right,
Let's take
to
this
forgive
example.
your sin. Muhammad.
If, for example,
can just dismiss
if, for example,
brush it
my
under
dear,
the turf.
my
Say
dear.
it doesn't matter. No cost.
So let's say in an example, there's a car that's approaching a young man, and a father with a son is seeing this. In order to save that man from getting hit by the car, that father takes his son, pushes the man out the way and puts his son in the way of the car coming to kill him. Is that okay? That's the same analogy that we've just given.
Our example is God himself
sent his son.
willingly dying for us. No man take my life from me.
You say he sent his own son.
You mock, I don't.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you a question.
You are a mocker. You many mockers. The Old Testament said there will be many mockers.
You came here mocking Islam, but now you're on the back foot.
No, I'm just saying there is a big difference.
But then when I give you the example of a man throwing his son in the way of a car to save another man, you don't understand the analogy made.
Very different. You accept one thing, we accept
but how
another.
can you even compare it? How can
I'm just saying it's very, very different.
How can you even compare it to Christ? Christ wasn't even married.
Jesus only died
No,
for their
it
left.
says that you don't have to be married.
No, that's not the point I'm making. No, but
either don't be married or be married to one person.
No, but how are you going to compare?
Christ doesn't say that. You've been looking for 30 minutes.
How are you going to compare a man that was married to a man that wasn't married in treatment as a woman? How can you compare the two?
If he was a perfect example, how I as a married man can see Jesus and how to deal with my wife is he's not married.
We have got plenty of instructions about in Christ there is no male or female.
That's some liberal stuff.
Slave nor free.
That's some liberal stuff.
They're all of equal worth.
She's right.
No, Jesus. At the head of man, there's Jesus. At the head of Jesus, the head of woman, engage with us. Engage with us. If the Bible says at the head of a woman is man, is it the same?
How's it equal?
At the head of man is Jesus. At the head of Jesus is God. This is a hierarchy. It means that one is above the other. So there is no. This is a very liberal, modern understanding of stuff.
Yeah, in Christianity, the queen can be of equal worth as her servants.
Huh?
In God's eyes.
Can she be equal to the king?
We agree. She gets us in God's size, but we're not saying that. We're not saying in God's size. We're saying in the world, in the world that we live in.
I'm quite sure that the world discriminates.
I'm saying
the king is of equal worth as
in God's eyes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we
all are in the image of God.
No, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the instructions that God has given us to have a functional marriage, and in there is a hierarchy.
One man, one woman. It says. It says in the Bible. It says the women. Obey their husband.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
And it says the man. His job is not to insist on her obeying, but to love her. That's the only thing. Her love and do what is best for her. So this is the best.
But she's still subservient to him, according to that.
Where does the Quran say that the husband must love his wife?
It's all over.
Of course it does. It says that. It says it's all.
It's all over. It's all over the Quran. It's in the Quran about, for example, the verse where it says. And find solace and peace in your
garments to one another. There's many allegories. There's a hadith where it says that Allah has left you in charge of your women for ittaqun nisa, fear Allah in regards to your women.
Be just towards them.
They have been left in your protection. Just as the wedding vows that you lot take, a man is to protect and to love. The woman is to obey and to love. Cherish, love and obey. Have you forgotten your wedding vows?
All I've got is
woman in your wedding vows, Madonna.
This is important for you.
Madonna.
But you agree with that?
Madonna.
No,
it's biblical.
Jesus,
it is biblical.
Men have authority over women because God has made one superior to the other.
Yes, we believe this.
And because they spend their wealth to
yes, Daraja.
Good women are obedient.
You mentioned that.
We believe in this, that men and women is not the same. A man risks his life, the woman does not. The man goes and works.
and they govern. As for those from whom you fear disobedience, this is to the man. Admonish them, forsake them to beds apart, and beat them, force them.
No.
That's a clear rejection.
No,
that's a clear rejection.
We know this. Okay, let me carry
This is clear.
This is becoming a circus.
So much domestic violence.
There's more domestic violence in European countries. Have you heard of this website actually called Christian Discipline? Have you heard of this website? It shows how Christian men can discipline their women. In fact, the divorce rate here because of beating women or domestic is that 1 in every 3 women are claiming to be sexually assaulted in this country.
As well, you know, where men beat women the most is in Russia.
And in Russia. This is colonial rhetoric. The idea is some reason the Europeans are the best to their wives and everyone else,
and men may beat their wives if they fear disobedience.
Why would it
say that?
Why would it say that?
Look, you have to look. Okay, look in the law. Look at
No, it doesn't.
No,
say that.
the Bible is not. Look, the Old Testament. If a woman comes up and her husband is arguing with another man, and she for some reason grabs him by the balls, she's to be put to death.
That's right. That's the law.
Yes, there you go. Forget, she's put to death.
That's the Old Testament law.
Yeah.
That's the Old Testament.
And there's more. There's the thing is, you divorce. 1 second, my darling. 1 second, my darling. My darling, you ask a question. My darling, 1 second. If you look at Jesus, according to the Bible, he read the Torah, he fasted, he done the circumcision. He was a Jew by all rights, according to this. He followed the laws of Moses, Jesus. Now, if you look at the laws of Moses, there are plenty of examples which show that the woman will be chastised by the husband.
He obeyed them perfectly, and on the cross.
Okay, but did you understand what I just said? Did you understand what I just said?
No, you didn't understand Jesus.
You didn't listen.
You are so.
You must listen.
You said word
We
the Bible.
have to listen. Look, your brother's telling you we have to both speak to each other. We have to both speak to each other. So Jesus, So Jesus followed laws. He did not say he came to abolish them. In Matthew, he says, "I've come to fulfill them." And examples in Matthew, my darling, are shown how he fills. No, 1 second, my darling. He says, "No, it was written once again after I finish." So Jesus says, "I've come to fulfill the law, not to abolish the law." He says, "You should not get into the kingdom of heaven until your deeds exceed the deeds of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." And he says that this fulfillment. He says, "You have heard it say that the one who fornicates such and such." I say that the one who looks at, meaning that no, he does not abolish laws. What he does is he enforces them and makes it tighter. So you've heard it said, but I say unto you, there's a whole lot of verses like that in Matthew, showing that Jesus didn't do away with the laws. Jesus actually enforced the laws and tightened it even stricter.
Well, he's not going to finish. Right, is it my turn now, darling?
Yes, my darling.
Okay, I have the same time. Jesus certainly gave the Old Testament laws, which was for the tribe of Israel as a legal set of laws to be carried out just in Israel, not outside that, no other place. It was just for them, and he gave it because they asked for it. The 10 Commandments are for all times and for all time. Right. So Jesus, when he came, he showed that he was able to perfectly fulfill the law. Nobody else had been able to do this, but Jesus, when he came
to his own received him not. But as many as received him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. He came to his own, the Jewish people. His Jewish people rejected him.
So Jesus perfectly said he'd not come to abolish the law because he had made it and he himself fulfilled it. He worked it out completely, and he said until everything is accomplished, and that accomplishment said when it is accomplished. Next to the last word. It is accomplished on the cross. That was before he gave himself back to the Father, into thy hands I commit my sentence. It is finished. It is accomplished. So,
that's off topic,
so
though.
the
That's,
new
now we're talking
law
about
came into being,
women
which he
beating.
says was simply to love God and love your neighbour. Those are the whole of this was for going forward.
Can I reply? Just
Go on.
love God, love your neighbour.
Anyway,
so you've agreed then with what he was saying earlier about the verses in the Old Testament that are very
for the Israelites while they were governing themselves until the temple was destroyed in 1870.
So there are
and then they lost governance.
So there are verses like that in the Bible as well then.
For that particular people, small people in a small.
So we're not different then. We're not any different. Where's the difference?
No, I don't know which verses you're worried.
We were talking about the one
Matthew, where he says that I've not come to abolish law, I've come to fulfill. And I gave examples where he fulfilled. He made the laws that existed already tighter. He didn't get rid of them. There was no saying that until not even a dot will change, until the heavens and the earth finish. Not before I was crucified.
He came to his own, the Jewish people. The Jewish people rejected him. Majority rejected him. But as many as received him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God.
So where's the difference then? I'm still asking, where's the difference between having initially verses in the Bible that could be considered, I wouldn't consider them that way, but you would consider them domestic violence?
Absolutely.
So how are you any better then?
Beat your wives.
Huh?
In the Old Testament doesn't say beat your wives.
Yes, the verse that you're talking about, if there's two men arguing and the woman comes.
But there's more. This is the thing. If you go to Maimonites, you know Maimonites? If you go to the Jewish jurists.
Probably is some sort of situation which I know nothing about.
Because you don't know about Jewish laws. That's the point. Jesus is a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. Jesus did not come to abolish the law. One second, dear.
Everything is
it's not going to work. My darling, if you speak, I listen.
My darling,
if you
just listen
until
everything is accomplished, which he did which he did on the cross when he said it is accomplished.
So but why? Okay, if that's true, just quickly, if that's true, why is it that the early church of Jerusalem is summoning Paul back to Jerusalem and the Council of Jerusalem, and that they're bemoaning him and they're criticizing him because he's going to the Gentiles and he's telling the Gentiles one thing, and then
to follow the
law, but he's telling not just that.
Not just circumstances.
It was other things.
So what happens, just for the people who don't know yet, Paul is being summoned by James. Now James is the brother of Jesus in around the year 50 in a council which is known as the Council of Jerusalem. And he says, and it goes to Acts exactly, and he says to them that we hear that you are calling people away from the laws of Moses. And then they say to him, to show this is not true, shave your head and give the sacrifices. Now Paul does not argue. What does Paul do? Shave his head and gives the sacrifices. Because James says, look at these thousands of Jews who are zealous for the law. Zealous for the law after Jesus. So this idea that the law is broken up, the disciples did not know it. The thousands of zealous Jews did not know it. In the meeting when Paul was eating with Peter, and Peter did not know it. Barnabas, who was with him and got up from the Gentiles, did not eat it. And all the other Jews that were with him.
Do you want to learn about what Jesus...
I'm talking, but I let you speak, so you should let me speak.
Okay, you say that Peter didn't know that. Right. So don't laugh. What happened,
no, I'm not laughing at her.
What happens about the food laws, which are no longer applicable because they have better hygiene? Okay, are you going to listen to how God teaches Peter that the food laws?
Very important what you say.
Let her make a point.
Right. So Peter has this vision. There's lots of other.
That's right. Got the vision from heaven.
Yeah. This is God teaching people that the Old Testament laws are no longer binding. If things like hygiene has changed, people have prisons, so that makes a big difference.
That must. That's...
So a voice came.
A voice came. I mean, this is absolutely incredible.
And eat. Surely not, Lord, Peter replied. I have never eaten anything impure or unclean.
Yeah.
That actually comes from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
The voice spoke from a second time.
Yeah.
Do not call anything impure that God has made clean.
That's right.
So these food laws were no longer, and this was God, Jesus, teaching.
Okay, you finished?
Teaching Peter. Yeah. So this is God teaching that these the Old Testament laws are now proceed into love God, love your neighbour. All the Lord and the are in these two commands.
So how has Jesus fulfilled then?
So now what happens here after?
He fulfilled by he himself obeyed every law that he had given during his life, and then on the cross he released.
No, but can we?
Laws which were
But can we go? But can we go back to the context? Why is Jesus saying that in the first place? He's saying that in the first place to the people because they were accusing him of changing the laws. So he says, "Look, I haven't come to do this."
No.
That's the reason why he's saying that in the first place.
It wasn't accomplished at that time. Jesus himself, because he had made them, he came to fulfill them and show that he could fulfill them perfectly. And then in his last moments, he said, "It is accomplished. Father, into thy hand I commit my spirit." And that was returning to the
Okay, so what happened was that Cephas, this is Peter's other name, the very same Peter that she was talking about, was eating alongside with the Gentiles. And Paul. Yeah. And then some men from James came to him, and this is found in Acts. And then Peter stood up and stayed away from the Gentiles, showing that he was not allowed to eat with the Gentiles because their food is unclean. He was thereafter, and this is way after what she's talking about, thereafter summoned by James in the council. Why was James summoning Paul if this was not something which was wrong? James summoned him in regards to how to deal with the Gentiles because it was something which was new. Jesus had not said this. He had never said. He said, "One second. One second. So you see, all of the disciples, kosher, Torah, Sabbath, feast, following all of the Jewish laws. None of them ever forsake the laws, just as Jesus, circumcision, Sabbath, fasting, Jesus does exactly the same. You see Cephas or Peter, the one she's referring to, the same thing. The disciples you see in Acts, the 120, doing exactly the same thing, engaging in the feast. And even later, much later, if you look at Justin Martyr mentions there's two types of Jews. The Hellenizers and the Hebrews. And they do not, he said the Hebrews, they do not eat with the Gentiles. Now the Hellenizers do, but what does a Hellenizer mean? The Hellenizers are Jews that have adopted Greek culture and philosophy. And thus they have broken away from the Jewish rules.
I don't think you will find any Jewish community that is advocating bringing back laws which were intended for 3,000 years ago. I don't think that
Orthodox Jews
pick things up.
No, Orthodox
not
Jews.
all of them. They wouldn't.
But you just said you wouldn't find any, and then we just clearly found an
we have a whole community in
Hackney. Because these were given for the Jews to rule themselves by while they were ruling themselves. After AD 70, the scepter was taken away.
I think this is we've reached
But the best thing we can say is worship the God of Jesus.
The best thing we can say.
Worship the God of Jesus.
Accept Muslims like what Muhammad has told you. We love what Jesus has told us, and the two are totally different.
Not necessarily. I think I think we've shown more than
they are so different.
I think we've shown more than one example where there are similarities.
I haven't heard of one example. The only example is that
other than that you
creator God.
No, I think personally that it's very easy to just like dismiss a half of the Bible because that's what you're doing literally. You're just saying, well, this doesn't apply anymore. So you should actually cut this book into half.
There is a very good reason if it was given for trying to rule themselves.
And if for some strange reason, Jesus never himself.
Which is imposed upon the whole
No,
world.
that's not true. That's not true either. Sharia is literally in the word. It's imposed upon those who follow it. Sharia doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to you.
Well, not in this country, because you have been able to.
No, because you're not a Muslim. Because you're not a Muslim. Why would you say that?